BlackMind Games podcast episode. Well, it's a holiday special.
Yeah, it's a holiday special.
Yeah, we're recording this on December 23rd. And Josh and I decided, and I rope jumped into this against his will.
I was sitting. I was sitting at my local game store playing Magic the Gathering.
He was all happy, and then I was like, "Hey, Josh, we have to record a podcast."
And then I was like, "Ah, shit! Yeah, you're right." Actually, the rope lasso came out of nowhere, roped me around the neck, and I'm like, and it just yanked me out of the room. It kept yanking me as I pulled by my neck. I'm choking as you pulled me into the podcast.
I was like, hey, fucker. Hey, fuckface. Yeah? We gotta cook. Okay.
We gotta cook, Jesse.
Gotta cook. Agreed. Safe. So, basically, what we have done this entire week is we've come up with a top 5 list of games this year. And we're going to talk about them, and we're going to have a brief little conversation about them. Okay?
Games that we have played, or games that we have...
Games that we have played, games that we have enjoyed, games that we have looked at, and games that we have think are worth the purchase.
I see.
All right.
Okay. Well,
do you want to start?
Who wants to start?
Do you want to start first with your top 5 or your number 5, or should I?
I have to boot up Steam for a second.
All right.
So you can start.
All right. My number 5 is. I don't care about the winter sale. I don't have money. Fuck off. My number 5 is. Let's go with the easy one. BattleBit.
Oh. Yeah.
What's your number 5?
That's pretty good. BattleBit. Well, man, my Steam's taking forever because my Steam library is huge. But let's see. I mean, there's games that came out in 2023.
If it's a game that you played or in 2015.
In 2015. Well, apparently there's a lot. But if I actually go to my profile and then check out what Steam has said I've played for the most part, like the statistics, which I always found entertaining. When did they share your statistics and they're like, yeah, apparently you got really addicted to this game, and you're like, oh, I did.
Yeah.
But apparently my average for collecting achievements way above other people's average of collecting achievements.
Understandable.
And I played way above other people's for playing games this year. I played 54 games, apparently.
That's good. That's a lot.
Most people only play 4.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's kind of like, to me, that feels strange. But I mean, at the same time, those are probably normal people with lives and work and kids and
Josh
family.
Doesn't have any of those.
I don't have any of those.
We need to take Josh to a bar and get him laid.
No.
If I may talk a little bit about BattleBit.
Yeah.
This is the perfect blend of casual and realistic. It is so much like those old school, like you play them. It's an old school like game that you play a little bit of, and you're like, oh, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. This is a good game. And it feels a lot like that Battlefield Bad Company kind of game. There's definitely some aspects of it that makes the game a lot better in terms of like how it plays and what people are always thinking about. And like the team work is so beneficial in terms of like how the game actually works. It's the shooting's tight, the netcode's tight, everything about it is tight. And like it's a game that like really benefits. It doesn't have like a whole lot of like graphical fidelity, but it benefits so much from that lack of graphical fidelity that is just insane.
Well, it makes me look at it and go like, well, I could easily play this, even though there's like hundreds of people playing at the same time.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is like, as a game, like, it has hundreds and hundreds of people playing on it, and you just feel so good playing this game.
I don't feel any slowdown. I mean, if there is slowdown, it's only for like a second, it's gone.
Yeah.
And even with like everyone on the server throwing grenades all at the same time, it's like, oh, nothing's bad's happening. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to say, although it could be better for that game, is that the way that the lobby system works for parties and stuff, like you're trying to stay with your friends, it kind of just throws you in whenever it wants to.
Yeah.
Or to random, oh, you guys try to be the same party? Okay, put 2 over here on the opposite team and put you 2 on the other opposite side of the team. What? No, that's not how this works. Come on.
I don't think that's as bad as you think it is, but I understand the sentiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of times it's like, no, we want to stay as a party. Like, can we stay as a party? No. Oh. Re-party again.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it's fantastic. I recommend it. Like, if you want an offshoot Battlefield, play this, and it's just the same.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, actually, I could talk about my number 5.
You're number 5.
Yeah. Tunic. Tunic. I think that came out this year.
Yes.
Yes, games you started in 2023. I basically played Tunic for a bit, and it says for my 11% total playtime, which is quite a bit. And I played for 17 sessions and 3-day streaks. So like, I played a lot of Tunic, and yeah. So basically, the summary is that it's a like a Zelda. It's the isometric view, running around. You have almost everything similar to Zelda. The only difference is that it's more Metroid-like.
Yeah.
As you're trying to run around, find different abilities, solve puzzles to get to other areas, or trying to figure out, oh, I solved this puzzle. I open up this door. Cool. But then you start noticing things in the scenery of like, oh, I see these, patterns all over the place. I wonder if they mean anything. And then later on, you figure out, oh, they do. Then, the more you play, the more you kind of just start doing a self-discovery. And the more that you start figuring out, oh, it's just this really awesome exploration and discovery of like how the game world works. Especially how you collect in the pages for the manual in game, and how those manual pages are not translated in English. They're in this weird fictitious language where it's made up by the developer, and that's the idea, is that you translate this language into basically into your translate the language into something you can understand, and then finally you can start reading the book as like, oh, this is what this means, and oh, this is how you're supposed to do blank, and oh, it turns out I can do this over here, and I can get through this wall. And yeah, like the book idea and getting the pages is so neat. I think I really like that idea of the game itself is covered in an illusion of like, it feels like you're playing a game from some far distant country you don't know of, but it's real good and you really want to play it.
It just tends to be that game that, like, as you play it, you're just like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, you're doing the discovery phase of like, and everything is the discovery phase of like, oh, I got sword and now I can chop down the grass. And oh, the grass, because I chopped it down, I means I can go this way where I couldn't go before. And oh, look, I can now get another ability where I can turn to oh frick, what was one of the abilities? Like, oh, you can do these like small puzzles with patterns, and you can a lot of like scenery puzzles, and if you look at the scenery just the right way, you could tell you a solution for this one screen, so you can now finally get the little like Easter egg or thing in the level to power yourself up and keep going. And yeah, it's just I like it. It's real good. And also this is, like I said before, this is the pages you collect for the in-game manual, something special.
Yeah.
I forget. I love that in-game manual thing because it feels like you're playing a game from a country you don't know, but then it's still telling you what to do.
It's such an interesting game because as you're playing it, you're like, oh, I didn't know that, and you slowly begin to realize, oh, they're doing stuff in order to fix like all of these little problems and everything like that. And they're telling you, instead of like having a tutorial, it's more exploratory because like you have access to like, I believe like a ton of your abilities at the start. Like you can dash and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
it's just mashing the buttons. And if you did mash the buttons, you figure it out faster than the book. But it's like, if you didn't know it was there, you didn't know if you could do it.
Yeah. Like that's cool. That makes the game a lot better than it should be.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like the game didn't specifically tell you, but because you discovered it, you can get to somewhere you think it was impossible.
Yeah, like the greatest sin I have made this year is not playing through more of Tunic. I will say that much.
If you can, I don't know, if you could pick up a game that you put down. I think Tunic, you could pick it up and put down even after a year or two. You can still figure out where you need to go. I think you might be just a tad lost because of there's some areas you want to go to in a certain, like probably in a certain way that you just go, where am I going? Mm-hmm. It might be like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I highly recommend it. Like it's super good.
It is definitely one of those games. It's definitely Game of the Year material.
Oh yeah. Not like the Jeff Keighley Awards.
The actual Game of the Years.
Just, I look at those awards. I'm like, oh, where are all those other cool games? They're not on here. Fuck. Yeah.
And other. Do you want me to do my number 4?
Yeah.
My number 4 is going to be probably.
Oh, I cheat a little. It's 2002, but screw it. It's Tunic.
I mean, you played it in 2013 or 2022, so.
Yeah, it counts.
Armored Core 6. I don't know if you played it. I don't care.
I've seen videos.
It is everything I want in a mech game, in a Gundam game, and then some.
Cool.
And as a Gundam game goes, it is probably the best piece of mecha media this year. And that's including Witch from Mercury.
Cool.
The story is so much more about like resource harvesting and stuff like that, and the sacrifices that you make along the way. You have an eclectic group of people that you play around with. It is a very interesting game. The difficulty is it doesn't fluctuate all the way. And unlike most of the how do I say this? Of the games that came out in 2023, it tends to be one of those games that the more I play it, the more I like it, and the more I like it, the happier I am as a person. Because it just doesn't feel. It's not the worst thing that I've played this year, and it works well. It runs well on my PC. I don't have to like randomly scale or descale the game, so I appreciate that.
Right.
The controls are very good. The gameplay's pretty great. Basically, your boost is always on your finger, and the story. The game has a lot of replayability, and that makes the game a lot more fun in the long term. The controls are great, and the way that the game works is great.
Huh.
So
I have heard Wooly talk about the game from the Cast of Super Beasts, and it's like it's real good. Like you have your loadouts depend on how well you move, how well you dodge, how well you parry.
Yeah.
Like I mean, each weapon has amount of ammo it can carry. You can go all out with heavy rockets, and it's a viable strategy. You could go all out in being the lightest thing possible, and that's super viable. But you're like a tissue paper.
Yeah.
But like all that flexibility is like, yeah, that's what I kind of want in a. If I'm gonna have a customizable mech, then I want it to be completely. Okay, if I strip everything off, I want it to be as fast as possible. You could do that. Yeah, which is perfect. It's the mech game that everyone wants.
It is the mech game that we honestly deserve, because it's just a step in the right direction, if that makes sense. And it's not like it's a step in the right direction in a world with multiple great games, and it's something where, like, if you liked Armored Core, you're gonna like this one.
Rad.
Yeah.
I do remember playing the early Armored Cores on the PlayStation.
And Josh, you should play this one because it's fun.
Yeah, I probably should. So my number 4, I'm gonna not cheat and actually look this up, see if it's this year, and it is Presidio Regalia. It's the
is this the one that, like, it's the PlayStation 2 game?
It's like a PlayStation 2. No, early. I would say PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1.
That you said that there wasn't hentai of, and then Ben actually looked it up because he's degenerate, and then he found it in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, because I'm bad at my Google Foo, apparently. So Procedural Regalia is a action platformer, more so on the platforming side of things. But you play as a kind of goat girl with no pants. There is options in the menu to turn pants on.
You can wear pants if you want.
If you want it, it's in the options. But the reason I want to put it on my number 4 is because it's really, really, really good gameplay. So at first, when you start the game, you're kind of doing the traditional, like, okay, I could jump around, I can kind of move around and stuff. As you're getting, abilities that help you, traverse across the scenery, you start to realize, oh, there's certain combos I can do with my certain moves. Like, if you go, like, I think the first thing you unlock is the slide. So if you start from a run and you hit the slide button, you just scoot across the floor and you continue to run. But that makes you go real fast. So it's like a really good way just to zip across scenery, just so you don't have to spend so much time getting across rooms and stuff. And it's like, that's real nice. And another thing it's great for is that you do that and jump out of it, you can actually still keep that momentum. And if you keep bunny hopping after that, you can actually keep that rush momentum going every time you bunny hop as well. So there's some like small little stuff in this game. It's like, oh, the developer thought of this, and it's a real good gameplay experience. There's even points in the game where you feel like, okay, I know I don't have the ability to transverse this room yet, but I'm pretty sure because I have the wall kick and I'm pretty sure I have the double jump. I think I could still get across this room. And also maybe you have the floor slide as well. So you try it for like maybe the first time you try it, you're probably like, I'm not sure if I could do this. Second try you do it, you get a little bit further and you realize, I could touch that other wall. So you try it again. You can touch another wall and you try it again. Then you realize you can get through.
Slowly are building up to the point where you actually can do like everything that you kind of said you could do.
You start realizing that, the developer thought of this. You thinking you can cheese the game, developer thought of everything.
Yeah. There was a thought process put into the game.
Exactly. Like at every step of the way, you think you can cheese it, and then the game developer said, "No, I thought of it. You could go through that level that way." And it's like, what?
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's so good. I love how you get through the levels, and once you start unlocking other abilities, it's like your world just gets bigger, and then you're like, I can now go over there and do this bullshit and jump off of this wall and then go over here and then do even more bullshit and go over that way. And it's just, I really love it. It's so good. It's the thing I love most about this game is like the amount of playability and the motion of like, once you figure out all your moves and combos, you're like, I can get over there now. It's like,
I can do everything. I can show you the world.
No, it's the Reading Rainbow. You can do anything.
Oh yeah,
it's that.
Oh yeah,
it's that. It's Reading Rainbow. You can do anything.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, forget. Also, another big plus for procedural regalia. It's cheap.
Yeah, it was like about $5.
It's like $5 American or $8 Canadian dollar dues.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Like it's dirt cheap. It's fun. Like I think it's a solid 4. The only thing that sucks is that like it's not long enough. Like the game, I bet most people who play it probably get about 4 to 5 hours of time out of it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get everything out of it, maybe 6. Like trying to get all the collectibles and such. But other than that, it's just really short. If it was a little longer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. You got a 4?
I got a 4.
Or did we touch on your 4?
We touched my 4.
Okay, so we touched 3 now.
Now we're on 3, and
we touched 3.
And this is where things get a little bit harder. Because I want to say, part of me wants to say, that's probably going to be. It's probably going to be a game that I played rather recently.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with actually Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh, yeah.
That one's special.
Yes.
That's a special game.
It's a very it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was literally just dropped, and then everyone just went, "Whoa, what is this? Oh, it's so good!"
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
It is definitely deserving of all of its praise. It is the best soundtrack out of any game. It's a very good, interesting game from a perspective of something that like you wouldn't necessarily expect to come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, that exists. And as you're realizing it, you're going, it's actually really good. And then you're going, what's happening with this? Oh, that's really interesting to be a game and like it's really a rhythm game mixed with like it's such a interesting concept because it's a rhythm game mixed with an actual like beat 'em up, and it doesn't hold its punches. There's so many little jokes here and there. It does everything that you want it to do. They have such a eclectic cast. And it's what modern gaming needed to be.
It's a video game as video game.
Yeah.
That's what I will label that as.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, doesn't need to be serious. It has a serious points, but at the same time, it's like, no, it's just kind of goofy fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, once you get to the serious points in that title, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna still have that goofy fun and kick this guy's ass,
and we're gonna punch him in the throat,
and we're gonna kick him in the dick.
Yeah, it's one of the few games that have actually been this year, and I think that is something that deserves praise.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere, and everyone's like, holy shit!
Oh boy!
Oh my god!
Fuck me in the asshole.
All right. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush was great.
Yeah.
I guess we should touch on my 3.
Yeah, your turn.
So, my 3, I know I definitely played this year, is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which I know I played some hours in. I think I would have put more hours in if it weren't for like how the achievements were a little off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hold on, I gotta actually find it in my BOMB. Like, just somehow some of the achievements were just a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought the achievements would be more of like unlock these characters and do these certain things. They were more about point-based things, which I wasn't too sure of. But other than that, the whole basically Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is Jet Set Radio, but what if the gameplay wasn't so goddamn jank? Like
it is a very positive game.
Yeah, like it is. So basically, the story of the game starts out as you're busting out from jail. Mm-hmm. Someone else is helping you, and then someone's busting in, trying to actually get the character you're playing as, and it ends up getting his head chopped off.
Yeah,
getting your head replaced with a robot, and then the robot is like, "I want to get that original head back," and for whatever reason. That robot's like, no, I want the head back because I want it back, and can't quite explain it, but he wants it back, and it's odd, and the game does explain that later on in the story, but it's like, why does this robot want his head back? But it's helped keeping the original body alive, so they're doing the best and the team that you got teamed up with is the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk group, which it's a mixed group of both a bicyclist and a Jet Set Radio. Basically, was a Jam from Jet Set Radio, but it's not Jam. And she's the rollerbladist, and you're the third person of the group who is the skateboarder.
Yeah.
And basically, although you can switch out at any time to be any sort of extreme sports you want. So if you want to be the bike guy, you can. If you want to be rollerblades, you can. You can also kind of parkour where you want to go. And also the gameplay, I would argue that's more platform action platformer than it is a extreme sports game.
Mm-hmm.
Because extreme sports game, you're kind of concentrating on like, okay, I gotta hit this jump, I gotta hit this quarter pipe the right way, I gotta hit this rail and make sure I'm balancing properly. Bomb Rush is like, nah, don't worry about that balancing bullshit, or even like if you're gonna fall and hit your face because you didn't land it properly. No, just keep going. Just keep going.
Just have fun.
Just have fun. Graffiti these walls where you need to graffiti. And yeah, just listen to fucking the most pimp ass soundtrack ever. And yeah, just jump around and have fun. And it's like fantastic. Oh, and also, like I said before, the controls, the controls for not being absolute jank ass garbage, is also makes it better. Because you can actually do like precise, platforming on rails, and like if you have to, you can even jump backwards on the same rail and go back the other way, which I use quite a bit, and it's fantastic. And also, yeah, like you can have a lot of air control. You can, because you have a jet strapped to your back, you can actually like double back on movements and then like go back the same way you came if you have to. And it's just really good controls, just real good, so good.
It's just
and
it's just a good game.
Just so good. The music's fantastic. Like the whole soundtrack's fantastic as well. Glowing review of this one. I'll put it at 3. I think 3 is a good spot for it. The only reason why I put it at 3 is, I think I think for me, like, game length is kind of important, and this one, I guess, is kind of short. Just maybe a little longer. And also, I kind of want more flexibility and different tricks I could do. Because for the most part, it's like, do trick A, B, and C, and maybe trick D. And then after that, it's like, okay, you have some little variations of these tricks, but that's about it. And it's like, I wish I could do more. I wish I could do more tricks, or do more finicky things with the tricks or something. But no, not really. But other than that, it's fantastic, and I highly recommend the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. And yeah, it's a number 3 for me.
Fair enough. Number 2.
Touch the 2.
Number 2. I think I want to say it's going to be a game that I actually praised. It might be Ben's Game of the Year. But Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that I really like and I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. And as somebody who is playing more Dungeons and Dragons, it really shows. I really like this game a lot.
Yeah.
And like the turn-based style works very well for it. And it's a good RPG that the more that you play it, the more that it looks great. The Let's Plays are great. All of the modding's great. And it's just a fun game. Larian really pushed the game over the edge. And it works really well. Yeah. The one thing I will say is, like, people are right when they're like, "Oh, it's not the best game in the world." Yeah, you're right, but it's also not like it's compared to some of the other games that have come out this year. It's definitely up there in terms of like how it plays, what it is. It's everything I want in a video game, and then what some. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I guess we should touch on my number 2 game.
Your number 2 game.
Let's see. You know what? Let's put Risk of Rain at number 2. It's Risk of Rain Returns.
Risk of Rain Returns.
Yep.
That's a game that a lot of people seem to like.
Risk of Rain Returns is like basically just the remake of the first game. And yeah, like for all the stuff that you're doing in Risk of Rain 1 is a 2D platformer, which is wave based, monsters coming at you from basically all sides. And you can pick of one of like at first it's like a one guy, but then you start unlocking more and more people that crash landed from the spaceship that you're on this planet. And these different people have different abilities to do weird stuff. So one guy's typical commando, other guy is doing these energy blasts. He feels like he's Super Saiyan. Another guy is like, oh, this guy's the Western dude, so he has like all these gun combos. Another character I like is the engineer, because he can put down turrets, and whatever abilities that the engineer has, the turrets also gain that ability. So if you get nonstop syringes, not only does that increase your rate of fire for your own little orbs that you shoot out, but your turrets just shoot like fucking machine guns. So they just don't stop firing. There's like not really a pause between shots or anything. Just keep going and keep murdering things. And also, if you get the fungus upgrade, they just, because they're stationary, they constantly heal themselves.
So it just increases the speed.
Increase the speed. If you get the fungus, they heal themselves over time, and it's like, oh, they can't die. They just keep shooting things over and over. It's hilarious.
Ah, that sounds great.
And there's also so many items you can collect, so many stuff you can find in the scenery of each level that's a secret or an unlockable. If you get really good at the game, there's even tougher bosses you can try to kill. Sometimes it's multiple of the same boss. And yeah, like, it's just like a really good wave-based shooter that's a platformer, but at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, that's fucking a lot of replay value in that, wave-based mode. One takeaway from the whole experience, though, is that there is the challenges you can do. Mm-hmm. And each challenge is based around each survivor crewmate that is in the game, and they're based around their abilities. That's fine. But man, there's times where I was playing those challenges and I was like, oh man, this is real tough. I know it can only get up to like, I don't know, 25. What's the goal I need to get to for this? 100. I can only get up to 25. What do I need to do to get to 100? Like, there's a lot of those. Of like, oh, I need to get, it's like, oh man, this is real tough. What do I need to get to finish this? Oh, I need to get 3 times more than what I have. Aha. Okay. I'll look up a YouTube video for this later. Like,
yeah, you're right. You're like, fuck this.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what do I need to fucking do? Like, they're just really fucking hard. And I get they want them to be a challenge and such, but it's like, man, they could be like 25% easier on those challenge goals. Yeah. Like, if it was just 25% easier, I could be like, oh, man, that's not like a reachable goal. I could do this. But like, if you make it 3 times from the goal, like I was like, yeah, like 25, and then you realize, no, it's like 100 or 150 or some shit, and you're like, how do we get there? Like, I literally, like, I don't know how you're supposed to get there. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the challenge of like really using your abilities to the fullest, but I found it was kind of like, I have to look up a YouTube video because I just don't know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But other than that, like, I like it. It's a really good time waster.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, what's your 2?
That was my 2.
Oh, all right. I guess we're on to 1.
Number 1.
If I remember how to count.
Well, Josh, considering that you don't know how to count, maybe you should go and check and see if you are talking with Shodan. Maybe you should talk to Shodan. Okay.
Oh, am I hacked?
Well, you should talk to Shodan. See if you're hacked. My number 1 is System Shock. The word faithful comes to mind. We're talking about System Shock. It is a game equivalent of many a things, and it is probably one of my favorite games of the year. It is a game that I'm still going back to. It's a game that I actively wanted to stream. It is my favorite game by far in terms of like how it plays. And I really enjoy it because it's not one of those games where like as you're playing it, you know how modern games are like make sure you push down on the right mouse button in order to fire all of your bullets. This game doesn't do that. It's never done that. It never has ever had the reason to do that. It just, there was no reason to play it. And it just works so well. System Shock as a remake might be, when I said it was probably my game of the year, nothing has ever come close to it. Not even Baldur's Gate. And I understand that like that might be heresy, but like to me, it definitely wears that with pride.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just my opinion on it. I don't know if you played it, but it's a pretty reasonable price game. I like the leans controls. It's a very basic shooter, but just being able to run around the environment, and the environments are also pretty cool. And there's a lot of things about this where it's like, it reminds me of when I played Dishonored, where I was like, oh, I'm having fun. This is fun. Where you're just like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Bye. Okay, you're dead. Bye.
Fuck this shit, you're dead.
Now you're dead.
Fuck you, you're dead.
You're dead. Yeah, it's one of those games.
You know, I'm actually like combing through games and I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure this came out this year, and I'm pretty sure that came out this year. I'm trying to think of like what would be like number one contender on this list. And I was prepared to say Vampire Survivors, but I'm like, no, hold on. That was last year. Last year in October, apparently. That was like, oh, no wonder it feels like this year, because that came out so close to like the end of last year.
I'm pretty sure it came out right when I was about to leave BioWare, so April last year.
That came out, let's see, on Steam anyways. It says October 20th of last year.
That is a game equivalent of a lot of things.
I mean, it is just a bullet hell game. Yeah. Where you're not necessarily shooting the bullets, you're dodging the bullets, but as time goes on, you get more and more godlike, and it's something in your brain tickles the right way, and you go, I love this. And then once you get that godlike level, you're like, die!
I have the power.
Yeah, literally, it's that moment. Yeah, it's just that the guy figured out the gameplay loop and how that works, and now he's released DLC for the game with Among Us, of all things.
Among Us?
Yeah, Among Us. They released it with Among Us.
Not Among Us.
I would actually recommend their Among Us DLC because it's actually kind of fun. You get abilities that do random shit, and you're like, "Oh man, what does this do? Oh, this is a reference to doing the card sliding mini puzzle in the game, and oh, this is also a reference to the monster guy because his tongue shoots out all over the place. And you get at max level, it's just you see the tongue just tentacles to shoot out everywhere constantly, and it's pretty hilarious." Also, like upgrading your abilities is pretty fun, and like once you get them all upgraded, you feel pretty godlike, and you're killing everything, and they're all referenced to Among Us game in some way. You can even collect a little dudes part of your equipment, and these little dudes will also give you buffs in some weird way. And yeah, it's just the DLC is fun.
It's just
however.
It's just a good game.
Good game. However, though, I do want to put this as a memorable, Vampire Survivors is not number one of this year because that's last year. So this is going to be number one. This is presenting Vampire Survivors presenting number one. I'm gonna put it to you know what? Viewfinder, since that came out this year.
Oh man, that game that you bitched about so much.
Oh man, here's the thing. I will recommend this game for someone who's like, I just want to play something weird and freaky like it was in Portal. I would recommend Viewfinder like over and over. Like it's very good, very well constructed. Like the guy figured out the mechanic and how it works.
All I'm saying is that like, yeah, it sounds like one of those games that like the more that you played it, you were like, oh, I really enjoy this.
Yeah, it's a game where, oh fuck, the mechanics of this are just perfect, and like and again, the game's Viewfinder's gimmick is you take a picture of something in your scenery. So like, let's say, oh, I need to get across this gap, but I can't jump there. Mm-hmm. So, or I can even, get across there normally. So what you do, but there is a long ass bridge pointing the opposite direction. Well, with your handy camera, you take a picture of it. The camera will spout out the picture in your hand. So then you go back to where you're looking for the bridge that you need. You line up the camera just so that you can get to the area to the opposite side where you need to go, and the bridge will form. But the thing is, depending on how you took the picture and where you place it, it will delete everything behind it and put in where the picture was where you formed it. Mm-hmm. So depending on how far away or how close up or how you're tilting if you're not tilted the camera or you're the portrait in some way, or you tilt the portrait on an angle or whatever, the scenery will act accordingly to where you place it in this from your point of view. So if there's one or two puzzles, in fact, like, oh, I need to get this battery over here, but it's like locked in the cage. Well, it turns out the cage doesn't have a roof. So if you take a picture of this battery in the cage with no roof and flip it upside down, you make the battery fall out of the top.
Sounds about right.
So it's like, it's just really cool stuff that you could do. And like all this like neato, like trippy, like fuck with the scenery, fuck with your the depth perception, fuck with like, oh, if I point straight up and then let it go, and that scenery, all the shit that is loose could fall down on top of you. Like, that's super cool.
So like, it's one of those games that like where they clearly were thinking about like what people are going to do with this.
Well, it's the concept of like, what if I took a picture of, let's say, I don't know, my room in the corner. I took a picture of it, and then I went outside and I said, okay, I'm going to place this here. What ramifications would that do? Like, so it basically went like, okay, well, it'll delete everything behind it, and then it'll put in the scenery where you want to place it. And then when you walk towards it, you're like, oh, this is exactly what I placed down. Like, it's so fucking neat. Man, I kind of wish they actually explored a little bit of later on in the game, you explore different paintings mm-hmm. and different like different paintings, different like artworks that people have made. And then you go like, well, these are neat, but this is the only thing I can interact with. So you pick that up and then you realize, oh, I could place this down. So you place it down, you go into the scenery of those pictures. So you're like, oh, this is like a Van Gogh painting. You place it down, you go into the Van Gogh painting. You're like, oh, neat. Then you find another painting and you do the same thing over again, but it's like a different artwork. And it's like, oh, it's all cartoony. And you get in there, and it's all cartoony. And every time you jump around, it makes different sound effects. And it's
everything that you want in a video game.
It's everything. They thought of all the little details that, every detail you could, again, possibly think of how this concept works. They thought of it. And it's fantastic. The only thing that sucks, I love it. The only thing that sucks is the voice acting, which I think they fixed it. I think they fixed it. Although I haven't done a full depth review of if they have fixed it. But like, it was funny because the day that I was talking, I think I was even talking to you, like, I don't know, several podcasts before, of like, oh, I think they fixed that problem with the voice acting being so bad because there was a 2 gigabyte update for the game for no reason. Like, no reason, 2 gigabytes. I'm like, what is this 2 gigabytes could possibly be? And then I realized, I think it's the voice acting update. I even looked on the news for the game and see if they even mention anything about a 2 gigabyte update. Nothing.
Sounds about right.
Nothing at all.
Sounds about right.
So I'm like, I think they toned it down. Like, I think they toned down the character that's talking to you. Like, it's a game where
they did what Baldur's Gate did, where they made Shadowheart a tolerant bitch.
Probably. I have to go back in the game and see if they fixed it.
Yeah.
But still, it was like, why is this a 2 gigabyte update? Why is this here? Oh, I think I know why.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Do we touch your number one?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, why do I keep forgetting?
Because you're smart.
I'm so smart.
You're the smartest person I know.
Damn right.
But yeah, no. Thank you everyone for the wonderful year.
Yep.
We greatly appreciate it. Holy shit, this has been an hour.
Oh wow, we got there.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that that's a podcast, Josh.
Yeah, I think so.
Have a good time. We'll be back next week with an episode. Thank you. Bye.
I started recording now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on a lighter note, I don't know, Christmas.
Fuck Christmas.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know every other time I talk about Christmas with family, and then I just also get like other people's families type of Christmas, and I go, holy shit, my family seems boring comparing to other families. Holy.
My family's Christmas is always like pretty nice. Like they do pretty much the same thing every year. But
yeah.
Like this year, like my sister's not going to be there, so it's like, oh, thank God, I'm not going to have to deal with this bullshit. I'm not going to have to deal with like constant like, so Jeff, how's your Christmas? And me being like, well, I got nothing I wanted, and everyone got exactly what they wanted. So, you know, pretty good. Like I got basically the fuck you of like, oh, well, you know, why would we get you exactly what you want? That's how my Christmas always goes. My family's like, why are you not happy? And it's like, I asked for something completely different, and what I got was basically a box of rocks.
Yep.
Yeah. The best one was when my sister decided that it would be a good idea to give me a meteor.
Huh. I was gonna say I don't think you're a person who's like
sciencey.
No,
wait, no. It was a star. It was name a star after yourself.
That's even more of a scam.
So she gives me that, and I'm like, I was just like, I'm just gonna say this, and my mom was like, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't want this. I legitimately do not want this. And she goes, well, and I'm like, this is a terrible gift. And she goes, well, like, why are you all upset? And I'm like, Mom, this is literally the worst thing you could have ever given me, period. Bar none. This is just an awful gift. And
it'd be probably even go like I could have also gone off on like these type of things. Naming shit after you pay a certain person are not legal in any way, shape, or form, and it's just a scam.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Yep.
So I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, I don't want this. I don't want this in my life. I don't want to even have to do this. This is the dumbest thing in the world. And my sister's like, but don't you think? And I'm like, no, I don't think. I think it's I think this is a terrible thing. Like, I get why you bought it for me, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, I'm just like, no, like, fuck off, basically.
Yep.
So my sister's like sitting there and she's like, well, I tried, and I'm not saying you didn't, but like, it's just not appreciated. So we had this conversation and she basically was like, I just was like, I know that you care, but at the same time, I'm like just fucking pissed and upset.
Yep.
And so eventually, like, as we're talking, she begins to realize that maybe what she should have done is she should have just purchased what she initially thought was a good idea. And so she goes, well, what do you want for Christmas? And I'm like, well, just give me a screen protector for my Switch. And so she goes, okay, here's your screen protector. And I'm like, thank you. Like, that was greatly appreciated. I was just like, here's the best part. It's like, I specifically told my mom, do not tell my sister this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want Emma knowing. I was like, don't tell Emma this. She doesn't need to know. I'm just not going to use it. And I'm just going to like kind of like throw it away in the trash. And when she asks about it, I'm just going to say, whatever. Oh yeah, I used it and I didn't, even though I didn't. Well, it's like stuff like that when you're like getting somebody like something like that. There are some people who I can see that gift being really good, but it's like those old things where it's like those old YouTube videos where it's like, name a Scottish land after yourself and you can become a lord.
That's also a scam.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh well, you can call yourself a lord, and it's like, why? Like, why would you use this product? It's a terrible, like, no.
That's also a huge scam. People dug into people dug into it and to figure it out. Oh, huge scam.
Right.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
So like when she was like, it was like, don't you like it? I'm like, no, I actually hate this. Like, I fucking hate this gift. And it made me feel really bad because it's like, I don't want to be that guy who sits there and tells her like I suppose it was a good thing that she wasn't there to see my reaction, because like I literally opened it and was like, put it down and just walked away. That was what I did. Because like I don't know. People who think that stuff is cool, it's like oh, you're a fucking dumbass.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Shall we start the podcast? Talk about our top 5 games of the year?
Yeah. I mean, we should probably do that.
Sync in 3, 2, 1.